2 centuries after a legendary hero defeated the evil Jaryu, a young healer named Laust is expelled from his group for being too weak. The boy teams up with Narsena, a martial arts expert, and they embark on a journey to find their place in the world. We see a group of goblins destroying a stagecoach, and a little girl watches the chaos they are causing. The goblins spot her and prepare to kill her, but a mysterious young man stands in their way. At a guild, Narsena asks Laust if he wants to be part of her team. The question paralyzes the entire room, as no one can believe someone would want to team up with him. She noticed that the boy was about to put up a sign looking for companions, and without thinking, she offers herself. She introduces herself and tells him she is an expert in martial arts. He introduces himself and says he is a healer, or something like that. A woman intervenes in the conversation. Her name is Amherst, and she is an employee of the Adventurers Guild. She warns Narsena that Laust is known as the Useless, since he can only use the most basic healing spell. She tells Narsena that, like all orphans from the labyrinth, he has been an adventurer since childhood, but even so, he can't use better spells. Until recently, he belonged to a group called Lightning Blades, but they kicked him out. That's why he has such a bad reputation in the city as the most useless healer. She tells Narsena that if she teams up with him, she won't make any money. Narsena replies that she doesn't need money and shows a bag full of coins. Amherst warns her to be careful with that money, as adventurers can be bad and she could get into trouble. Narsena enthusiastically thanks her for all the advice. Noticing Narsena's new equipment, Amherst realizes she is a novice adventurer and offers to introduce her to a suitable group, in exchange for a small commission, of course. Narsena declines because she has wanted to team up with Laust for a long time, and she rushes back to talk to him. They go to the counter together, where they are given the registration form, because without it, they can't be assigned missions, and the guild can't intervene in payment disputes. Laust starts filling out the registration, and Narsena watches, feeling very happy and proud, thinking she finally found him. Laust asks her to fill in her details, and nervously, she does. When they finish, Amherst extends her hand to collect her commission. Laust pays her a few coins, and with that, the process is complete. Narsena is thrilled to finally team up with him, and they shake hands to seal the deal. They leave the guild and walk through the city. Laust tells her that no one has been able to finish the Mardat labyrinth, so no one knows who the final monster is. There are still many unexplored areas, which is why the city has become a magnet for adventurers. That's how Mardat became the largest labyrinth city in the region. Narsena asks if they can enter the labyrinth right away, reminding him that Amherst warned her she was a novice adventurer, and it would be better if they went to the eastern plains first. He explains that due to the energy emanating from the city's labyrinth, various monsters are attracted from the outside. There are the western mountains, the northern forest, the southern marshes, and the eastern plains where lower-level monsters appear, making it the best place for training novices. However, it's so vast that it's hard to find monsters. In the labyrinth, there are monsters everywhere, but if they don't go too deep, they won't have much trouble, as those are low-level monsters. Finally, they reach the entrance of the labyrinth. Laust is ready to enter, but Narsena stops him and suggests she go first since she is the fighter, and he is the healer. It's better for him to stay as far from danger as possible. Laust agrees that this is common practice, but Narsena doesn't let him add anything, and he allows it. They begin exploring the dark corridors of the dungeon, and Laust notices that Narsena looks happy, excited, and inspired, but he wonders if she can really fight. A group of goblins appears in front of them, and then Narsena starts delivering powerful punches and agile kicks, easily defeating the enemies. Laust's doubts disappear in that moment. He collects the gem left behind by one of the enemy's bodies, and Laust explains that it's a magic gem, and adventurers make their living by selling them to the guild. She asks what the guild does with them after buying them. Laust explains that they have many uses, as they are imbued with magic. He is surprised that Narsena doesn't know this, as anyone wanting to be an adventurer would be aware of it. Narsena admits that studies were never her strong suit. After a while, they've collected several goblin gems. Narsena asks how much they are worth, and he replies that since they're from goblins, not much, and that bigger monsters give better rewards. Even so, these gems are enough to pay for their lodging for the night. Still, they decide to go a little further. Narsena is excited and promises to protect him from everything. They walk down a corridor, and suddenly Laust stops her, warning her to be careful where she steps. He places a stone on the block she was about to step on, triggering a trap. They manage to get around it by walking along the edge. Narsena is surprised by her companion's insight. He explains that he's been an adventurer for a long time and noticed the block's color was slightly different from the others. Thanks to his experience, he knows about the other adventurer classes, in this case, thieves. They enter a room and find an orc patrolling. Laust is surprised, as orcs are mid-level monsters known for their strength and resilience, and it's rare to see one at such a low level. Still, he trusts that together they can defeat it, and Narcena fully trusts his decisions. Narcena reveals herself and starts attacking the orc. She notices that it's tough but also slow. The orc attacks, but she dodges, and its hammer slams into the ground, sending a rock flying toward her, causing a wound on her arm. The orc keeps attacking until it corners her, raising its hammer to finish her off. Narcena closes her eyes, expecting the blow, but it never comes. She opens her eyes and sees the hammer on the ground, and Laust stabbing the orc in the neck. Narcena continues to be amazed by Laust's skills and asks if he's really a healer. He reminds her that he can do a bit of everything, including fighting. She thinks he does more than just a bit. Laust notices the wound on her arm. She says it's just a scratch and will heal soon, but he insists on healing her, giving her no choice. They go to collect their reward, a much larger gem than the goblin ones. Laust takes the gem and says they've earned enough money and suggests returning home, but Narcena excitedly asks to continue. Laust can't say no to her, so they proceed. At dusk, they return to the guild to sell the gems. Amherst is surprised by all they've collected in just half a day and, irritated, asks Laust if he took Narcena to the labyrinth. She notices one of the gems is from an orc, and this leads her to suspect that he made her descend to the mid-levels. He explains that the orc was on an upper level, and Narcena confirms it. Amherst confesses that there have been other similar reports. She tells them that the guild leaders have been discussing it, and it seems something strange is happening in the dungeon. Returning to the matter of selling the gems, Amherst is very happy to pay them. Narcena wonders why the sudden change in attitude, and Laust explains that when they buy gems, the employees' wages increase depending on the total sale. The more gems they collect, the more money Amherst makes. She pays them a good-sized bag of coins. Laust can't believe it so much, and Amherst reminds him that half belongs to Narcena. Laust is aware, but admits that even his half is much more than he used to make. Then the memory depresses him. Narcena asks what's wrong, and Amherst tells her that when he was in Lightning Blades, they didn't usually pay him what he was owed because they were scamming him. This angers Narcena, who reprimands Amherst, saying it's the guild's responsibility to mediate payments between adventurers. Amherst agrees and asks Laust if he wants the guild to intervene, but he refuses. He says he now has a new group and wants to leave the past behind. They leave the guild, and on another floor, a man watches Laust with resentment. He comes down to see Amherst, who is happily counting her commission. She's surprised to see him. It's her boss, Handsome. He asks if she sent Laust with a new group, and she replies no. And even if she had, no one would accept him. She tells him that a new girl appeared, and Handsome asks if she means the girl with blue hair. She confirms, and he asks no further questions before leaving. Laust and Narcena arrive at an inn, where a girl happily greets him and asks if Narcena is his new companion. Laust is surprised she knows, and she replies that news spreads quickly, especially if Laust, the useless, got a new companion. The girl offers them a table, and Laust accepts, but first says he wants to book a room. She tells him to go in the back to talk to her mother. From the kitchen, a woman named Mary greets him. Hearing that he wants a room, she asks if it will be shared. Narcena blushes at the thought of sharing a room, but he replies that it will be one for each of them. Mary offers them their rooms and a hot meal, while Narcena tells herself she wouldn't mind sharing a room with him. After dinner, they go to their rooms and say goodnight at the door. Narcena lies down and remembers that when she was a child and her carriage was attacked by goblins, Laust saved her and healed her wounds. Excited and inspired, she promised to become an adventurer and protect him. She gets up and starts training. Not long ago, she heard that Laust was kicked out of his group, so she ran to the city to finally team up with him. Laust still doesn't recognize her, as she has grown a lot and her appearance has changed over time. Her hair color has even changed. She knows that he has changed too, becoming stronger and even capable of defending himself. Narcena reconsiders. He still needs someone to take care of him, and that will be her. She puts on her pajamas and wonders why people call him useless when he is really so talented. If you've reached this point in the video, don't forget to leave the word exquisito in the comments. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.